So I had a marketing company and I thought that I had to be like the best marketer in the world, right? Like I knew how to do it, I was into it. But the thing is, I hate marketing. I'm just good at it, right?
Welcome to the Small Business Podcast series, where each week we're interviewing small businesses that help small businesses. And today we have a very special guest. And we want to start it off with a little bit of a question. What if? What if I felt limitless? What if my fears could motivate me? What if I lived every day with unlimited self-confidence? Who would I be? Well, you are about to meet a man who has turned those what ifs into reality. For thousands of entrepreneurs, get ready for a massive transformation with Coach Dan Gordon. It is amazing to have you on the podcast, Coach Dan, and it's so exciting to get to learn more about what you are doing and how you had these experiences. You ready to get going?
Jason, I have been thinking about this podcast all day. So let's jump in. Your boat, man. You drive it. Where are we
All
going?
right. I was reading through some of your history here, and you were on the brink of failure, right? You were ready to throw in the towel.
Not just the
And
brink, but yeah, sure.
it was like every small business owner out there has been at that spot. I've had
Yeah.
multiple small businesses in my history. Like, what was it for you? How did you make it over the edge and continue to go and be such a successful coach that you are today?
Well, it's the edge that brought me here, right? So I had a marketing company and I thought that I had to be like the best marketer in the world, right? Like I knew how to do it, I was into it. But the thing is, I hate marketing. I'm just good at it, right? I'm really good at it. It was never supposed to be a business. It was never right. So what happened is a major correction, right? Like we see that in the finance world, like the market has a correction. Well, Coach Dan Gordon had a correction. And my correction was that my company failed. I was doing something that I wasn't passionate about. And my internal justice system said, get out of this. And because I didn't have the courage at the time to just walk away, I manufactured a failure. And the failure I manufactured cost me over $100,000. So I lost over $100,000 in a month. I was another $50,000 in debt, right? Really staring at the abyss. And that's when I realized that I had actually manufactured this because I wasn't doing what I was good at, what I loved. And for you who are listening right now, if you are not doing what you love, you need to find that thing because you will be miserable like I was and you will manufacture failures like I did. And when you decide, like I decided, to go for what I truly love, it scared the crap out of me because then, Jason, then I was asking myself, what if I fail at this? Right? I can fail at marketing, no big deal. That's not my passion. But if I fail at this thing that I think I might be great at, then I'm sunk. And so that's the abyss that I was really staring into. I was staring into a mirror of myself, of my greatest flaws and my greatest victories. And I asked myself, I don't know if I can do this, but do I have the courage to try? Now, jump ahead 8 months later from that, almost that very day, I walk out on stage in Dallas, Texas, being paid $10,000 for my very first speaking gig. Right. But that whole time, that 8 months, I guess it's a nice end of the story, but those 8 months were a time of massive transformation. And that's what I'm about. That's the work that I do. I take people through massive transformation to become the greatest version of themselves.
Is that what you would call your secret weapon, or is there a different approach? You say you have, it's like, I heard you have a secret weapon to success. What is that?
it, it's really this. What do you love about yourself? Right? That's one of the first questions that I talk to entrepreneurs about. What do you love about yourself? And I'm not just saying, oh, well, I like that I dress, fashionably. No, like what do you love at your core? Like what is the thing where you plant your flag and you say, I cannot be budged? What do you know about yourself that is unflappable? Right? That you bring into every situation. Most people don't have an answer to that question because we've been taught throughout our lives that to talk about ourselves in positive ways, that means that you're full of yourself. It's wrong. No, that's complete bullshit. When you understand and know to your core what your greatness is, And from that, you cannot be budged in every situation that you go into, from cold calls to pitching major clients and companies. You have a sense of ultimate goodness about yourself. And it doesn't matter how they respond, you know that you're covered, you're handled.
That's really good. That's some good information to be able to dive into and go with it. If you're sitting there, you're talking about how you had to go through a transformation,
Yeah.
and there's so many people out that have decided, I want to leave corporate and go into coaching, or I want to just
Mhm.
become a coach for whatever reason. Let's be real. You didn't start your business to feel stuck, overwhelmed, or bored out of your mind. But yet, here you are, spinning, stalled, or just chasing every shiny object just to stay motivated. And I know exactly how you feel, because I used to do the same thing. But that's why I built the Momentum community for founders like you. It's for people who are ready to get serious, simplify, and build a business that actually moves forward. It uses peer accountability, and it's what I used to be able to grow my business successfully and have a great exit. Does this sound like something you need? Click the link in the description below and let's have a conversation. Enjoy the rest of the show. Tell me a little bit about what makes your approach to coaching unique over all the other coaches out there.
Oh, okay. It's really simply this. I make sure that you get paid back for what you pay me. Now, I have spent tens of thousands of dollars on some of the worst coaches in the world. Right. As I was going through this transformation, and I see you smiling and nodding because we've all had this experience, right? We've all had the crappy coaches and the big promises that don't come through. And what does every one of those coaches say? Well, if you had tried a little harder, if you'd done what I said, right? If you'd done these things, you didn't follow my direction. So that's why you failed. Here's what they do. They blame you for their failures. Right, Jason? It's like hiring a pilot to fly you from New York to LA, landing in Cleveland, saying, well, if you had been a better passenger, Jason, we would have made it. I take responsibility for your success. When you hire me, it is my responsibility that you get paid back for what you paid me. And I'm not just talking emotionally, I'm talking dollars in your pocket. Because if you're hiring me if you're hiring like a life coach or performance coach or an acting coach, yeah, maybe that you don't get paid back. But as a business coach, a sales coach, you damn well better get paid back. And so we start right away. What are the metrics of your success? And we track those things. And I have a 98% success rate with my clients because I am very particular about who I take on as a client. And this started right at the beginning. And you who are listening, you better be particular about who you take on as a client. When I was broke, I was still telling people, I don't know if you're the right client for me. In the back of my mind, I'm going, are you crazy? Like you're about to be homeless. You got to take them on just for the money. No, because my other business was out of integrity. I was not going to do this business out of integrity. And my integrity is to make sure that my clients have the wherewithal, the willingness to do the work. And that's why I have such a high success rate. That's why I know I can get you paid back for what you're paying me. And so any coach that you hire, they have to be able to answer that question. How are you going to make sure I get paid back? And if they say, well, what you put into is what you get out of it, run, because they're not there for you. They're there for themselves.
Yeah, that is so important. I want everybody listening to really key in on the fact that using metrics to work your business forward in success is critical in how you track. And having a coach that is going to dive in with metrics right away, that is even better, because now you
Mhm.
can be working with them on the same page and you get help and advice on those metrics. So that is fantastic. We're looking through a little bit of history, and you talked about how you had this marketing degree or marketing business that you really
Yeah.
didn't like. And now you're going into coaching. Is there there has to be something that goes in. So why does childhood trauma play such a big role in entrepreneurs' success and failure? How is that played in? We all have childhood trauma because, well,
Yeah.
we were all kids once, right?
Sure. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. We were all either, up at bat and we struck out and the whole team like, oh, you screwed up, or, we do little shows for our parents when we're little. And then one day the neighbor's over and laughs at us. We're like, oh, that feels horrible. Right. I'm getting rejected. Let's, I'll describe it in terms of a cold call. Right. And I'll just say the reason that I focus on sales, first of all, is how I get you paid back. Right. I increase your sales, you make more money, I get you paid back. Phew, I can sleep at night. The thing that happens in a cold call is an element of childhood trauma, because the way that humans are designed, the way that our brains are designed, there's a little part of our brain called the amygdala. The amygdala is like the helicopter parent of your brain. It's always screaming you're in danger. And it's always looking for past experiences to leverage your belief that you're in danger, right? So when you're on a cold call, you're not just bringing in maybe your last cold call that didn't go well. You're bringing in every conversation that you've ever had that didn't go well, every failure you've ever experienced, every rejection that you've ever had, right? You're bringing all of that into the cold call. That's trauma. And foundationally, we discover who we are. We determine who we are between the ages of 0 and 5. Between the ages of 0 and 5, you have a foundation of who you are. It's the way that this isn't me talking. This is neuroscience. Between the ages of 0 and 5, you determine who you are, what the world is, what love is, what safety is, all those things. And when those things get corrupted, that's the trauma. So it is acknowledging that trauma. It's having a relationship with that trauma. I'm going to say that again, having a relationship with that trauma, not trying to push it down or work around it or come up with little Jedi mind tricks in sales so you don't have to feel the rejection. It's building a relationship with that. So when the sales call doesn't go right, because sales calls hardly ever go right, when you hang up and you're feeling bad, that there's a cushion. Hey, you know what? I'm really proud of myself that I did that. And okay, childhood trauma, I hear what you're saying. I suck. I'll never be any good at this. I hear you. I'm going to throw my arms around you. Going to give you a little hug. I understand you're just trying to protect me. You're trying to get me to stop doing this because it hurts. But the hurt is what I'm here for, because the hurt is where the growth is. And that's why having a relationship with that childhood trauma, Jason, is so important.
That hear that again, everybody. The hurt is where the growth is.
Yeah.
I talk about getting outside of the comfort zone, and that's exactly what we're talking about here, is to be able
Mhm.
to stretch your limits and be able to grow yourself as an individual, because that's going to eventually grow your business to be able
Completely.
to have those successes. Oh, so such
Completely.
gold in this podcast, man. Yeah, and it has been such a great opportunity to get to know more about you. Um, Tell me a little bit about what you gave a little bit about the inspiration of starting the business. You gave a little bit of inspiration about where you take people on the journey of how to
Mm.
go forward in their businesses. And we even talked a little bit about what's causing some of the pains and go. Give me a good impression on how you would work this through with a client. Like, what's the time frame from A to to B? Understanding it's going to be different with everybody. We get
Yeah.
that, but is what's that ideal distance look like in your world?
Mm. Yeah. So after the first session, your mind is on fire. This happens with every client. This isn't me saying this. These are my clients. Like they get off the first session, and I've clients say, "I feel like I've just been hit by a bus, but in a good way." I'm like, I don't know what that good way is, but I'm glad. Um, in 30 days, I have a long history of in 30 days, they're already seeing a return on their investment, which means that they're making more money, making more calls, closing more deals, right? They're seeing that return in 30 days. And I'm pretty adamant about that. Now, big question. What happens if they're not? Right? What happens if I give my clients a directive and they don't follow that directive? Why? What if they're not doing the work? Well, like I said, that's my fault. That means that I need to change my approach. And I have changed my approach many, many times. I'm working with the client, what I'm doing, it's work with every other client. Is it working for them? Not a problem. A shift. We do different things. We try different things. We take it into a different modality. So, okay, let's stop selling. Let's do something else. That's where I created what I call the free dessert challenge. Let me tell you what this is. I had a client that just would not pick up the phone. He would not make his calls. I said, okay, forget that. I want you to go to lunch at your favorite restaurant. And when they come at the end of the lunch and they say, hey, would you like anything for dessert? Here's what I want you to say. I want you to say this. I have an unusual ask, and I'm fine if the answer is no. But here's my unusual ask. I would like the apple pie, and I would like the restaurant to pay for it. Not you, the waiter. I would like the restaurant to pay for my apple pie. Again, I'm fine if the answer is no. Right? And the reason that's such a powerful thing is because it stops being about like hiring someone or money. Like it's just this weird thing that you do, like to put you in a little bit of discomfort. And again, you're fine with the answer is no. It doesn't feel like rejection then. It just feels like I tried this weird thing. And what's really weird, Jason, is 9 times out of 10, they get the free dessert because I've done this with a lot of people. I'm like, wow, that's cool. And also, what they get is they realize I'm a lot more influential than I thought. Right. So I created that on the spot to try a different way. It became a practice that I do with a lot of clients. You were listening right now, try it. Do the free dessert challenge. Just make sure that you let the waiter know that giving a no is perfectly acceptable. Right? You want to give them that out. But what you want to make sure that you do is you get a yes or a no. So if they say something like, well, my manager, I don't know if they'd be on board with that. You don't go, okay, what you say is, okay, just to be clear, is that a yes or a no? Right? You get them to give you that answer. Now, after he did that, he went and started making his cold calls like crazy because he realized that the yes or the no was the thing he was going for. Right? It wasn't this rejection thing. It was just two different words. Right. So it's being able to shift, being able to do something different, right? Meeting a client where they are. That's what I love doing.
That is so powerful to be able to understand that it's not just some cookie cutter approach. Like
No.
there's no simple solution for not no one's this is not a one size fits all type situation. And any coaching program that says it is a one size fits all is not necessarily the right one for you.
Yeah.
Make sure you're paying attention to those ideas. Man, it has been great. Can I interest you in a little bit of a lightning round so we can go through and learn a little bit more about you, Dan?
Dude, hit me. I love this.
Okay, let's go for it. How about coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
If you could grab only one item or weapon during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
Chainsaw.
There you go. You were one of the fastest ones that has ever answered that fast. Most people have to think about it. So you're going to be very well off on that in that
I
when it
am.
happens. Favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
Yeah. Gandhi. If everyone knew the joy of service, they would never stop.
Oh, powerful, powerful one today. Favorite movie or streaming series that you love?
Citizen Kane, favorite movie,
Okay.
because it is a man's quest for love as we all want it on our own terms. And
There you
what
go.
happens when he couldn't negotiate it within himself? Beautiful story.
Yeah. One book that has influenced your life the most.
It's a book called Selling is Bullshit, written by Coach Dan Gordon. And the
Okay.
reason that it influenced my life is because it was the act of writing it. I was very resistant to writing this book. And Rosalind, the love of my life, encouraged me. My friends encouraged me. And it took a lot of gumption to sit down and write that thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We talked a little bit about some of an obstacle that you have overcome, but I don't want you to use that one. I want you to use one more recent, something maybe in the last 12 to 24 months, but the biggest obstacle you have ever had to overcome and one lesson you learned from it.
Hmm. I did a plant medicine journey, and the obstacle of that was fear. And I had never tried medicine like that. And I wanted a new experience. And so my obstacle was that fear of going into a situation of ego deconstruction where I was not going to be in control. And what I found was something miraculous. Like I said, there's something always great on the other side of difficult.
Yeah.
And it's been a very freeing, life enhancing experience.
Very, very good. Very, very nice. Coach Dan, how can our listeners get a hold of you if they want to work with you or collaborate with you?
Perfect. So first thing is I want to give you something. And what I want to give you is my book, Selling is Bullshit, is written specifically for people who realize they want to sell better, but really hate the idea of being salespeople. And to get that book, just text the letters BS. BS isn't bullshit. BS to this number, 213-409-8366. 213-409-8366. Text BS, the letters BS to 213-409-8366, and you'll get my book for free. No funnel, nothing. I'm not putting you into anything. You'll get an autoresponder to click and download that book. It's a really fun read. The other way to get in touch with me is just do a search for Coach Dan Gordon. I'm all over the place. Um, uh, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, website, Coach Dan Gordon. All roads lead back to me.
That is great. And we'll have all of that information linked up in the show notes or description if you're
Thanks.
watching this on YouTube.
Thanks.
And it has been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast today, Coach Dan Gordon. And until next time.